look at this. This is a great thing. Okay, hi everyone. Michelle Frary here, Member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha, and today I'm going to do a little video with a local woman who's going to share her own story and sort of a business that she built through her own struggle. So it kind of checks a few boxes for what I think is really important, what we need more of in the world. Number one, understanding children's behavior better, understanding how children learn better. We saw kids take a real hit through COVID, and they're behind. And now we're starting to say, okay, what do we need to be offering? It also checks the box of entrepreneurship, of solving a problem, of taking your own sort of barriers or adversities and turning them into solutions of creating a business locally and helping people. And most importantly, it helps a lot of adults, educators, and parents who may be struggling at home with your kids, have better relationships with your kids because you'll be able to better understand them. So October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and I'm joined with my friend Mackenzie Cameron. Mackenzie, you were diagnosed with dyslexia at how old?
I was 10 when we kind of connected the dots and figured out that that's what had been sticking me down for so long.
What was happening with you when you were 10 that was like, oh, let's see if it's dyslexia? Because first of all, we're going to talk about what dyslexia is, common misconceptions, but what was happening with you?
Sure. So I had a little bit of a different journey through school. I was homeschooled, so we didn't necessarily notice struggles as quickly as we would have if I was in the school system. For me personally, my spelling was awful. And I am not over exaggerating when I say I could not do math. I was not able to do basic addition or anything like that. And so my mom set out and said, there's something wrong here, and found this program that I now facilitate, that I attended and took.
And it changed your life.
Time, absolutely changed it right around. I didn't have problems after that.
So a lot of people think dyslexia is like, oh, when we see, a B is written as a D, or dog, God, like that's kind of like the stereotypical what dyslexia is, but that's not actually all the things that dyslexia is. It's a lot different than that.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's definitely a big part of it, but a lot of the symptoms of dyslexia, or signs of dyslexia, specifically that I exhibited as a kid, were things like oversensitivity or difficulty going with the flow and rolling with things as they happened. I liked to be very planned and know what was happening and when it was happening and what it was going to happen like. And if things changed, I had a hard time with it. There are not all negative signs either. Things like being aware of people or understanding. Dyslexic kids are often really sensitive to people reading and understanding emotions in the room, that sort of thing. For me, math was a big one. Numbers, I couldn't tell 4s and 5s apart, which is bizarre because you look at them and you're like, they're two different quantities. How's that a thing?
I'm going to put on my mom hat a little bit here because I think, as moms, our kids come home, and I think the natural tendency is to think if your kid isn't doing their homework, if they're not engaged in school, they're lazy. I think that's a really quick assumption. Or a teacher. I've had many conversations with teachers who will say to me, like they just got to get off the phone. Like they're just not paying attention. They're the problem kind of thing. But that's not really the situation. And what I mean is if they're not being taught the way in which they learn or can absorb that information, they're not going to be able to concentrate. And then you're going to see that in behaviors. And I always use this example when it's like, can your kids sit and play a video game for 8 hours completely focused? Because I can't play half those video games. They're too hard for my brain to understand. But maybe they don't do other things that they want to do. And it's not just resistance. It's not just a kid choosing to be bad. It's that their brain isn't registering that. So is that some of the things you work with when you work with these kids, and parents and educators, to help them understand how the brain is working?
Yeah, definitely. So we say and this kind of goes into that people have fight or flight, right? That's something that we have. Dyslexics, or people with ADHD, we have a third. We have fight, flight, and freeze. And especially when we're confronted with something we don't understand, our go-to is freeze. We freeze up. We distract ourselves with something that we do understand so that we don't have to feel dumb. That's something that our brain is always trying to protect us from. Yeah. Absolutely. It's just a method of self-protection. I say, think about it like if you're watching a movie and the tape breaks. every 30 seconds. And then it picks back up, but you're further down the line. Are you going to have any idea what's going on? It's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm sitting in a classroom and that happens, I experience a moment, we call it disorientation or confusion. I get confused and I go, wait, I didn't understand that. My brain tries to puzzle that out right then. And when I tune back in, the teacher's moved on.
Right.
And I'm lost again.
Right.
Right?
I think this is so important. I think what Mackenzie does in the business, so it's called Unlocking Potential is the business that she started, and she works one-on-one with kids. She helps educators. She helps everybody. And I think she's a really important bridge in the gap for everybody to understand that. And I think we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go, that there is so many different ways to learn. But when a kid is not engaged in learning, when their behavior is out of whack, you really have to ask why. And I think our knee-jerk reaction is to punish the kid or to assume they're choosing to be bad. But that's the message I would love to give as a mom.
1,000%.
And it's such a journey, because it's the shame, and you think you've done something wrong as a parent. You think you're failing. Your kid is a reflection of you. And it's not. The kid needs a different method. And so you actually have a methodology that teaches. So where are you at today? I mean, you've started your own business. How's your spelling today? It's not that you're not smart enough, right? I mean, Einstein had this saying ages ago: if you're going to gauge a fish's ability by how it climbs a tree, it'll
live its whole life thinking it's stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spell very well. Thank you very much. I'm good with that now. I can read this whole book. No. So I'm now a facilitator for something that's called the Davis Method International, which is the program that I took when I was 10.
Yeah.
And I went and got certified with it in 2019. And so I work out of Lakefield now doing the same thing. It's a 1-week program. So kids come and see me for 5 days in a row. And when they leave at the end of the week, the term that they use is corrected. I don't really like that term, because it's not that there's something wrong that we're correcting. More what it is that they leave with the tools themselves to be able to correct issues as they arise, or struggles or things that confuse them. They're able to notice, because 9 times out of 10, when I don't understand something, the bigger issue is I don't understand what I don't understand, right? We don't know what we don't know. Well, what's confusing? I have no idea, because I'm so confused, right? So my job is to help the kids notice when they're confused, figure out what it is that's confusing them, and make it so that that doesn't confuse them anymore. And if you think about it like speed bumps in the road or potholes, if you're driving along a road with potholes, you're going to bounce around and everything's going to be awful. But if you fix those, then the drive is smoother, right? My job is to find the speed bumps and take them away.
I love this. I love this so much, because I love that Mackenzie is not only an entrepreneur, but she's taken her own kind of struggles. And so where my MP hat comes on, as shadow minister or critic to families, children, and social development, the best prevention we can do in having healthy adults and mentally healthy adults is having children who know they are valuable, is having children who know their worth. And if they think they're stupid, if they think they're dumb because they're not learning in the way that's being taught to them, or they haven't learned that there's a reason they think the way they think, you're going to have an adult with a lot of complications, because that is the core. So this is very, very important to me, that we have these discussions. Dyslexia awareness, I think more and more we need to bring this, talk to your doctor. Obviously you can do all of these things, but there are people out there that have the lived experience, like Mackenzie in our own community. Even though you must get that all the time. You look like it's
constantly.
You've got a young face. You'll love it when you're really old.
Yeah. Somebody asked me if I was 14 a couple of weeks ago.
Are
I'm
you?
not 14. No, I haven't been 14 for like a long time.
Thank you for what you do. Every child is designed to learn. Every child, and they love to learn. So if they're not, I think that's your first red flag.
Absolutely. If a kid is coming home and going, I hate school and I hate this, it's not necessarily, from what I've seen in my experience, it's not that they hate school, it's they hate the feeling that school is giving to them, which is, I'm stupid, which is false. It's not true. But if that's the feeling they're walking away from, that's a problem.
That's a really powerful statement, what you just said. I see my mom is on here. That's hilarious. Thanks, Mom. But she does have a good question. How old does she start with kids? That's a really good question.
Yeah, I can start with anybody. The youngest I've worked with was just 7, like the day before the program, 7. 6 is probably the youngest that we've gone with the Davis program, just because there's a lot of, like, we sit and we build with clay, and it's fun and it's interesting, but we also need kids to have a handle on, like, being able to sit for a little bit of time. And 5, you want to run around and play, right? I did, still do, but
yeah, me too.
It's not acceptable anymore.
Listen, there is all sorts of ways to learn. Learning differently is amazing. It's what makes people amazing. Our differences are what are really cool. So thank you to Mackenzie for bridging this gap. Thank you for the kids that you help. Thank you for the parents.
It's
right?
my
When we
pleasure.
help the parents, when we help the educators, we help the kids.
Well, I think that's a big thing too, right? As the kids, it's like this destructive little cycle. The kids are feeling, I'm stupid, and they're discouraged. And the parents are feeling, oh, well, that's my fault, and they're discouraged. And neither one of those statements is the truth.
Yeah, you got to be a little detective in figuring out how your kids work, man. It's a constant, never goes away, as my mom would probably tell you right now as she's watching. Anyway, thank you very much, Mackenzie. If people want to reach out to you, Unlocking Potential is the name.
Unlocking Potential on Facebook, and you can send me a message through there.
Okay, I'll tag them on here. It's local, and the Davis method, if you're looking for it, you can talk about it. Dyslexia Awareness Month is in October. We want to bring awareness to this and encourage all the brains in the world to know that you have something to offer. So that's great. Good job. We'll talk to you soon. And of course, without a doubt, my favorite author of all time.